I knew, or should I say, I had a feeling Cheyenne wasn't going to be nothing but trouble. But we got other stuff to make sense of in this episode. Like Danny says that Sabrina grandmother passed away and she didn't have no other family. But yet on when she was in jail for being falsely arrested, she said she didn't want her mother to find out. Then Andy over here in this penthouse, we got Cheyenne hiding in the corner, and she runs in a room that we assume is a bedroom, but yet she been sleeping on the couch like she didn't have another room. And we've been knowing that Andy had multiple bedrooms. Child, we gotta make sense of so much in this episode. But anyway, let's go on and get into this show review. Hey, Chatterboxes. Hey, I'm Nele, and welcome to Easy Convos, your cozy spot where we kiki about the latest TV shows, both scripted and reality, pop culture, and what's buzzing on social media. So get comfy, grab your snacks, your tea, hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified when I upload. Today's Easy Convo with a little kiki is Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 10, Episode 2, Guilty. So Rich made it to the hospital in the middle of everyone worrying about if the code blue was for Sabrina. And we do later find out that it more than likely was Sabrina because they had to bring her back twice at the hospital. So we figured it was Sabrina. But anyway, Andy is ready to call Karen. But Danny is like, don't tell her. It's not any need to tell her yet and get her word until they know more about know more about Sabrina and her condition. So don't get Karen all worked up and alarmed just yet. Anyway, Dr. Vaughn has to run his rounds around the hospital, but we'll see what he can find out about Sabrina when he finishes. Maurice is hanging on by a string. He is so distraught. Sabrina is his closest friend. She's more than just his manager, and he absolutely needs her to be okay. Danny sees Sabrina as their rock of the sister circle, okay? Danny is feeling so guilty for hanging up in Sabrina's face, and she is still beating herself up about it. Rick just wants a chance to make things right with Sabrina, so she has to pull through so he can fix everything that he messed up. Now, Danny gets a phone call, and Tony looks at her phone when she checks it, and then he gets all worked up and fired up, child, and he gets to making faces and whatnot. And then his attitude impacts, and he tells Danny, he there for her. He there for, because of their love for Sabrina as a group, but everything between them, it's over and everything. And he gets started and everything, and Maurice mugged him and gave him a look like, what is your problem? But I was so happy when Zach came to Danny's defense, because this is not the time nor the place. Even Andy chimed in, and she was like, no, Zach, I got it. Andy was right. Danny needed support and not his anger for whatever she did, though they don't know what she did. And they don't need him being a butthole right now, because everybody going through it right now, and they don't need him over here trying to go off on Danny. And Zach was backing Andy up in everything that she was saying. But then the doctor finally came out looking for Danny because Sabrina had her down as next of kin, and Danny looked surprised, like, what, me? And Danny told the doctor it was okay, for him to speak in front of everyone to inform everybody about Sabrina's condition. And the doctor, which is named Dr. Steven Samuels, he went over Sabrina's prognosis and injuries with them. So after all the tests have been ran, she has a fractured left femur and humerus, a lower rib fraction that caused her lung to collapse. She has internal bleeding and swelling on the brain from blunt force trauma, which is why she is in a coma. Post Sabrina is going through it, okay? But she does have brain activity. That part is good. If she makes it through the night, she has a better chance of survival. So we got our fingers crossed that she does make it through the night. If she does wake up from the coma, Sabrina will need extensive rehabilitation. Okay, so Sabrina was revived once on the scene of the accident, then twice at the hospital, and they don't know if she has any long-term damages from all of this that's going on. But he said Sabrina is a fighter, and Danny said that she is. Okay, she is a tough one, and she hanging in there. She not giving up. Sabrina is holding tight, and she is holding on. And this, as fans, is what we want to hear. Okay. But when the doctor told Danny to reach out to Sabrina's family, Danny said, excuse me, she was raised by her grandmother, but her grandmother had passed away. And that brings us to when Sabrina was in jail. I don't know if y'all can remember or not, but Sabrina was like, my mama, I don't want my mama to find out, or whatever. So I want to know if she referring to her grandmother as mama. I mean, because now here in the South, we refer to our grandmothers as mama. A lot of people do. So it would not be, unusual for someone to say that. So I'm assuming that she was referring to her grandmother's mama. But anyway, Danny told Dr. Samuels that all of them were her family. And, they were all there. But Dr. Samuels told them to go home, get some rest, and the hospital would notify Danny if anything had changed. Then Dr. Vaughn came by and asked Dr. Samuels, how's Sabrina doing? And he told Dr. Vaughn that it really, truly wasn't looking good. That's not what we want to hear. That made my heart drop because I don't need Sabrina to pull through this, okay? So everyone decides to go home, but Rich decides to stay at the hospital despite Dr. Vaughn saying they're not going to let him see Sabrina in the ICU because visiting hours are really enforced. But Danny thanked Maurice for telling her about Sabrina initially in the first place, and she gonna keep everybody updated and notified when she hear anything from the hospital. Now, I wish that ICU was like the ICUs around here, and they had like a waiting area where family can sit and wait, and they had like these recliner chairs like they do here, where you can sit and be comfortable and somebody can stay for emergencies, for the loved one. Even if you can't go in, a loved one can stay there in that section, sleep there overnight in that section. Now, there's no word, to go bathe, shower, nothing like that, but you can stay in that chair overnight, and the front desk a call for a family member and, update you right there, or they can call you at home if you let them know you leaving. And I just wish it was set up like that because I don't know, we've been in those situations before, and it's just hard to leave your loved one. I just had a death in my family. That's why this video is late, and the family just went through a similar the family member just went through that similar situation. So like, this kind of hidden for me right now, but yeah, I wish that was kind of realistic like that. But anyway, Cheyenne is at Andy's going through her clothes, helping herself to what she wants, talking about what's mine is mine and what's hers is hers also. Child, bye. This girl annoys me already. Miss Valerie told her not to because Andy knows when her stuff has been touched. She don't take nothing and put everything back where it was and how it was. But did Cheyenne listen? Of course she did. She's still in there meddling. And then Miss Valerie trying to make sure everything goes good so Andy will let Cheyenne stay there. Why is she trying to dump Cheyenne off on Andy? Beats the crap out of me because I'm like, honey, she need to go back home with you. But anyway, Dr. Vaughn asked Andy could they talk, and she was back to being mean to him. She was too overwhelmed with the whole Sabrina situation at the moment and didn't really want to talk. But she could have been a little bit more appreciative. In my personal opinion, you did run into that man's arms and he did console you in your time of need and your grief. And you could maybe not talk to that man right then and there because it is a sensitive time right now, but say, okay, you know what? Let's talk later, okay? But anyway, he was offering to try and get info on Sabrina after he run his rounds and be there for she and the girls and, for Sabrina friends and everything. Because, after the Karen situation, he kind of familiar with them. So, he was trying to be cool or whatever. But anyway, she's still saying Dr. Vaughn lied to her. Technically, Dr. Vaughn never did lie to her, but Andy takes him covering for Dr. Cruz as a lie. Now, she did thank him for being there for her while she was weak and all of that, but refused to hear him out. And I think she needs to hear him out. Just like Dr. Cruz blew her car up, I think he threatened Dr. Vaughn in some kind of way, shape, or form. Therefore, I think she needs to hear him out because she don't know what the situation was, what happened, or how any of that came about. So, honey, pump your brakes and sit down and listen because he could have threatened Dr. Vaughn, and I'm sure he did, just like he threatened Andy, because if he as powerful as everyone says and his reach goes as far as we know it does, who knows what he did. So Tony, he was holding Danny's hand when they left the hospital, everything, and he was trying to be there for it and everything. Someone kind of like take care of her, I guess you could say, and make sure she made it home safely. He didn't want to come in or stay. He just grabbed his bag right quick and was like, I'm finished talking or whatever. He's finna go. Danny did thank him, considering what she done to him. He really didn't have to be there for her, but he was. And Tony knows how close she is to Sabrina and saw how upset she was and really wanted to make sure that she was at least okay. Because he said, he ain't no dick, nothing like that. He really did care about her and, wanted to make sure she was all right despite what he did to her and, maybe not wanting to talk about her concerning that and get back together or whatnot. But anyway, Dylan was at Maurice's waiting on him, and I'm glad that he was. I do wish Dylan would have came with Maurice to the hospital and been by his side. He was waiting for him at the apartment. He made Maurice a nice little hot cup of tea and ran him a hot bath with some essential oils and whatnot and what have you. Gave him a nice hug and he was holding him down. But anyway, Rich went back in the ICU. Now, they told him that they wasn't no visitors and they weren't supposed to be back there. But, honey, Rich done creeped back there in the ICU, child, and looked in Sabrina's window and all of that kind of stuff and seen what Sabrina looked like and all the tubes and bandages on her and running out of it and whatnot and what they said. And I wish they'd have gave us a little peek because, honey, I was wanting to see too. Rich done went back there and got to see. I was wanting to see too. But anyway, Andy makes it home and told her mama what happened, that Sabrina wasn't okay and what have you and whatnot. When Miss Valerie told Andy, though it was too much for her and she needed to keep the faith and stay strong, I just knew, y'all, I just knew Miss Valerie was going to give us a powerful prayer right there. But instead, she started talking crazy at the side of her neck when Andy told her it was too much. First, Karen left, now Sabrina, and then Miss Valerie started saying Andy was envious of Karen for being happy. Child. Talking about deep down, Andy wants a couple of kids and her Denzel too. No. Miss Valerie, that's you. That's what you want for Andy. That's what you want Andy to want. And it's just not what she wants. Andy is not envious of Karen, and that woman is completely delusional. Andy trying to confide in her mom, and then it's just the same old, same old. She want Andy barefoot and pregnant, laid up with a man, instead of being a powerful businesswoman and working on her career and doing all that kind of stuff. She just want her up in the kitchen cooking with a man, popping out babies. Child by Miss Valerie talking about Andy can find comfort if she go down to the church and pray for Karen. I don't see her dragging Cheyenne down to the church praying for her to get back on her feet or whatever she got going on. But Andy told her she needed her bottle of wine for comfort. It's what she needed on that couch by herself would do her good. I was surprised she didn't throw no holy oil on Andy for saying that. Now, let's talk about Cheyenne hiding back there and listening. Okay? So, apparently there's another bedroom back there. We have known that penthouse had more than one bedroom. And that's why I was so confused, because they've been leading us to believe it was only one bedroom, but now Cheyenne show up and suddenly boom bada bing, whoopity freaking do. She hiding back there by the other bedroom. We've been seeing this door when they get out the elevator. The door been there, but ain't nobody been back there. But now when Cheyenne come, she hiding around back around the corner. They writers have got to get it together, because we can't have this debauchery going on. Now, so why wasn't Miss Valerie in the guest room from the beginning, and why was Andy sleeping on the couch? This inconsistency, this too much. Okay, they got to get it together. But anyway, Andy gets up for her bottle of wine, and it's in the bottom of the garbage can, empty. Cheyenne done drunk her Opal Brute. I think that's what she called it. She just wanted a glass of wine and lay on the couch by herself. She done told them. But listen, her mama still need to be in this guest room, and Cheyenne will be on the couch, and Andy need to be back in her room, or either Cheyenne and her mama could share that guest room, which this is real life stuff that people would do normally. And I don't see like why they can't get the writing on the right accord and make this happen, that they be in the bedroom together, because this is getting too out of line. It's getting too unrealistic for me if they don't get this right. But anyway, ain't nobody gonna come put me on the couch in my own house when it's a guest room. Bottom line. Anyway, I told y'all Rich was gonna try and talk Tony into forgiving Danny, because he made a similar mistake. Excuse me, I had to finish my teeth, calm my nerves. He made a similar mistake with his situation with Sabrina. Tony went by Fuel and talked to Rich, and Rich told him he went down in ICU and he picked up in on Sabrina and how she was hooked up to all these cords, wires, and cables, and had all of these bruises and bandages and everything going on. Rich tried to talk to Tony about his situation with Danny, using his situation with Sabrina as an example, right? Well, Tony still feels it's different, because technically he and Sabrina was broke up. I mean, they wasn't even broke up but a hour or so when he screwed Penelope. So I guess you could call it broke up. But anyway, then Danny doesn't even like Tony. Bad line, stealing, disrespectful kids. I mean, in my opinion, she has a reason not to like them. Like they ain't did nothing but gave her trouble. So how she supposed to like them kids? Okay. At the end of the day, like Rich said, if he loves Danny and if he truly care about her, forgive her, fix that situation so they can move on. Holding on, harboring on, not liking her or what happened in the situation, it's not worth it. If he love her, fix it. But he got to remember that for every action, there's a reaction, and his action caused her reaction. Though it was not the best reaction, and I do not condone what Danny did, he said a lot of the stuff in motion when he took the lady $10,000, okay? You take somebody $10,000, though he did pay it back, the gambling and all of that set a lot of stuff in motion, and he still need to take accountability that he refuses to take. Anyway, Cheyenne up in Andy's kitchen trying to cook Andy a meal in the place of drinking her 500 bottle of what I tell y'all was Opal Brute. But Cheyenne and Miss Valerie taking shots at Andy about her cooking and having barely used her new pots and pans. So how is you making a dinner for forgiveness and you in there still running your mouth and taking shots? And if them her new pots and pans in her new penthouse, them her new pots and pans, and y'all ain't got no business trying to tell nobody when to use their pots and pans and passing judgment. Andy is a single bachelorette. If she want to have unused pots and pans, that's her MF and business. And I'm tired of y'all being up in her house trying to boss her around and rule over her nest. That's her nest. Y'all can go on back to Florida in y'all nest over there trying to run Andy penthouse. Anyway, and the whole cooking for Andy's supposed to be a good gesture. How is it going to be a good gesture if y'all still smart enough running your mouth taking jabs at her? But anyway, then Miss Valerie talking about she going home to continue her chemotherapy, but Cheyenne staying with her. How you gonna tell her that Cheyenne staying with her and not ask her? She gonna just gonna put Cheyenne off on Andy. Andy ain't wanting to babysit Cheyenne. Hell, Andy already busy. How she gonna babysit and keep up with Cheyenne trifling behind? But Miss Valerie let Cheyenne cuss and drop the F-bomb and then gonna tell Andy to watch her mouth. She should have been telling Cheyenne to watch her mouth. I feel like that Miss Valerie be showing favoritism, that she baby Cheyenne and all of that kind of stuff, but then she always riding Andy back. Why ain't she riding Cheyenne back to find her a man and have her some grandkids? Why she on Andy's back? Why she ain't on Cheyenne back to either continue her education and do good or do that? But anyway, she don't care about none of that. All she caring about is somebody settling down and having kids. Why ain't she telling Cheyenne to do that? Why she on Andy back to find Mr. Right and find her Denzel and pop out some kids? Why she ain't telling Cheyenne to do it? That's what I'm saying. She over here riding Andy's back. Why you ain't telling Cheyenne to go with you down to the church, honey? But Miss Valerie wants to keep throwing in Andy's face how she values her college sisters more than her own sister. Maybe because they don't treat her like Miss Valerie and Cheyenne do. Miss Valerie and Cheyenne just disrespectful. They like disrespectful little leeches. But Miss Valerie gonna claim Cheyenne idolized Andy, and when she went off to college, she forgot about Cheyenne, and that broke her heart. Child, bye. That guilt trip not about to work on Andy, okay? That gal is spoiled rotten. Ain't worth two old rusty pennies to rub together. And Andy don't want no roommate. Miss Valerie gonna go to yelling and hollering, Cheyenne ain't no roommate. She's your sister. And she still would be a roommate. I mean, some people, the age gap is so big, they not close like that. Not because they don't love each other, not because they don't care about each other, but the age gap between siblings is so big that sometimes they just not close. I mean, I'm just being honest. Now, Pam busy running the salon when Maurice called her to let her know he wouldn't be around the salon much because he was going to pick up some extra hours over at Brookhaven Bank due to Sabrina being in a very bad accident, and she is not doing okay because she in a coma and whatnot. He filled her in on all the details and what's going on with that situation and the girls. So Andy called Karen and told her about Sabrina and that whole situation. Meanwhile, Cheyenne went out and picked up the first guy that she saw at the bar. Now, something about this guy ain't right. I don't know if this guy an undercover cop. I don't know what he is, but something about him ain't right. The way he keep looking at her and watching her, it was weird to me. I don't understand. Something about this whole little situation with wherever they went out at, somebody there to me is, I don't know. it ain't clicking for me. I don't know. But anyway, so I guess Andy is back in her room. She got up for a bottle of water and told Miss Valerie to go get in the bed. So that means she back in her room now. This is what I said. The writers got to get it right because y'all got us going through. We noticed everything, okay? Miss Valerie was trying to stay up and wait for Cheyenne to come home. Meanwhile, Cheyenne was out getting drunk and taking drugs, making out with men and women and men, just getting jiggy with it, nasty, dirty, whatever you want to call it. Child, this girl, she ain't gonna be nothing but a problem and a liability for Andy. And her mama wanted to put her off on Andy. Really? And this how she acting? Whatever. But now let's talk about what's next on Sistas. Cheyenne calling Andy from jail, child, because she done got arrested. I'm telling you, the girl, she trashy. She had been doing powder, and now she charged with lewd and, what did they say? Lascivious conduct. I think they said in the preview. And then Andy done went down and got her from jail. Then when they tried to sneak back in the house, Miss Valerie done caught him. And Cheyenne gonna lie and say Andy was picking her up from a party. Andy, don't be lying from the girl. Tell your mama the truth that she was picking Cheyenne up from jail and she need to go on back home with you and not stay here. Then Officer Maurice Green is stalking Danny. She telling him she don't want to be around anyone right now. She just want to be alone, with everything she got going on. And he gonna get mad and go slam his little bag in the garbage and storm off like he acting a real fool. Then he beating on her door, and she like telling him, it was everything, she already done told him it was a mistake. What happened between them? Because she really wasn't in her right mind when she messed with him. It really was a mistake. And she was like, she don't want to talk to him. And he gonna bust up in the door and telling her they not done talking and stuff like that. Like, he finna be a real problem. And who gonna get her out of this? Because he a police officer. Who comes to your rescue when you can't call the police? How this about to work? She gonna have to set up some cameras and something to carry down to the station because he the captain. He the captain over a certain section or over down at the police station. So who gonna believe her? Fatima told Zach she doesn't trust Keys. Now I'm still disappointed in this whole situation because I'm waiting on her to tell him what she overheard him saying about that's his only son. Get to it already. How long we gonna drag this out? We're going to drag this out as long as Karen's pregnancy. Like, what we doing here? How long we going to wait? Because I'm ready to get on with the getting on, okay? Anyway, that is it for today's Easy Convo. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm sorry this was late. Again, like, I had a death in my family. And then not only that, like, literally a couple of days after that death, a family friend passed away, and so I just been feeling kind of down. Plus, I ain't been feeling good for other health reasons. But yeah, y'all stay cozy. Keep that tea hot till our next Easy Convo. Love you guys. Bye.